sturdy. Hold it. All right, fancy. Does anybody have any questions for Perry? They've had a few minutes to think it out now. Anybody? Now's your chance to ask a question. Yes, you, sir, in the front row.
35 years later, do you think that Rocky Horror would be as much of a phenomenon as this?
No. No, the first production, I'm sure you all know, was at the Royal Court. I think it ran for 6 weeks. And from the very, very first performance, it was just a phenomenon. Huge success. And from that 6 weeks to when it transferred to the Classic Cinema in the King's Road, Jonathan King cleverly got the recording rights, produced an album before it got to the Classic Cinema. So that was the very first album, which I'm sure you all know. But as for the movie, it was a complete flop in London. Complete and utter flop. I think it was a flop worldwide until you lot got it.
Until the crazy happened.
Yeah. And I finished, we went to sort of some towns you wouldn't even heard of. And that part of the tour ended, and the producer wanted to pick up the big cities again to go on like a second tour. And I said, no, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to do it. And he just upped my money. So I said, okay, I'll do it. And then it just, my health suffered badly because I was touring, and I began to get stage fright. And I decided that I'll finish the tour, come back to London and just rest, because I was just totally shattered. I was going to the doctor every 5 minutes, getting B12 jabs to try and lift me up and stuff. And I got back to London, saw my agent, or spoke to my agent, said, oh, they're doing a tour in Italy, do you want to go? And I said, no, that is the end, that really is the end. And so that's my history. I don't know whether it's a proud thing to say I was the longest running riffraff, but I was, and Rocky's still going on today. It's touring. It's just re-touring the UK as we speak. The most memorable thing. I suppose there's a couple. There was when the Transylvanians were in the lab on that sort of balcony, we weren't allowed to come off it because Brian Thompson didn't want footmarks on the floor. I don't think you've ever seen the floor, to be quite honest. But Ken Russell's Tommy was filmed just a few months, a year or so before, and they had major problems with the flooring. So it's that baked bean thing, isn't it? Have you seen Tommy? And they didn't do it in the first place, they had to clean it up. But we were all stuck on the ramp, and various styles to go to the toilet, and we weren't allowed. What else? The wedding scene. That's the one I remember most, because that was our first day of filming, and there is one great story. It was the first day of filming in November. It was freezing cold, and Rufus, being the black chauffeur, had to drive up in the car. I don't know if you've heard the story before, but he had to drive. He couldn't drive, Rufus. But they said, just hit the accelerator and stop. And he hit the accelerator, stopped, and knocked one of the kids over. And he said, why the fuck was she there in the first place? So they had to do a retake, and they took the kid away from that. But I do remember, it was like a gravel driveway, and it just screeched off, and this kid just went flying. She wasn't hurt, I'm glad to say. So that was a great, memorable.
And that was her last movie. All right, cool. Well, a round of applause for Perry.